I'm Ilya Marchenko.
I'm Dennis Kudla.
I'm Jesper de Jong.
I'm Henry Laaksonen.
I am Francisco Cerundolo, and you are listening to the Game to Love podcast.
Hey, welcome back, tennis fans. Seems like a long time since we've done a podcast. So we apologize for that, firstly. And what a great tournament we're having. It's Indian Wells. We're nearly at the semi-finals for both. We've got the women's already sorted out, and it's the big guns that have made it there for the women's side. And on the men's side, a couple of places still at stake. We've got Fritz and Sinner into a third set as we're talking. And we have the young maestro, Carlos Alcaraz, coming up later. So join us for that. You all right, JG?
Yeah, very well. It's been a great Indian Wells. Shame we've not done a podcast before, sort of giving our quarterfinal predictions. We missed that, but we're here now for pretty much the semi-finals. I know we've got one more quarterfinal or two more quarterfinals to play on the men's. But yeah, it is kind of like the fifth Grand Slam Indian Wells. The courts have been liked by some and not by others. Daniel Medvedev doesn't seem too pleased about the slow courts, but yet he has still made it to a semi-final. We've been playing pretty well as well. I think I'm going to start with the women's, though. Do you agree?
Yes, I think let's start because we've got the semi-finalists all confirmed on the women's side. And we have just been watching one of them, obviously, Iga Swiatek, reigning defending champion at Indian Wells. It looks almost unstoppable on this surface. It's almost slow as clay, we could say.
Well, she's just been in some crazy form. I think if we're going to talk about the women's game, we have to always start with Iga because the stats don't lie. And I know we've got a few stats to go through in a minute because she's just been formidable. We watched her a second ago, just demolish her opponent again. No bagels, no breadsticks. The bakery was closed, but still it was straight sets. It was comfortable. And Solana Sestaya tried her best, especially in the first set, but just couldn't have any answers to deal with the power of Iga. She's going to be playing someone who she doesn't like to play too well, who is a very, very challenging player, who has big serves, who surprised me to do so well at Indian Wells, but not really when you look at it because, I don't know if you're going to bring up the tweet, Ben.
Yes, right. So we have got Iga Swiatek. Here we go.
So the other one, the one with the women's.
There we go.
So here we go. So Iga, Sabalenka, Rybakina, the three current Grand Slam champions, the top three players in the WTA race. So 3 out of 4 semi-finalists in Indian Wells, not bad. And we always complain about the women's game, how there's like an ups. Well, not everyone complains. Some people love the unpredictability of it, that you're going to pull up with players who you're not really expecting there. And I think it makes it exciting. But in this situation, it's been pretty... Is it boring? I don't think it's boring, but it's pretty predictable. The fact that 3 of the Grand Slam champions, the current Grand Slam champions, have made it to the semi-final. The new big 3 in the women's. Iga, Sabalenka, Rybakina, all 3 big servers, all 3 powerful ladies. And we are in for a spectacular semi-finals.
Yeah, and joined by semi-final Sakkari as well. And if there's a semi-final to be had, you know that Maria Sakkari will be there. And does she stand a chance to get through to the final? The name would suggest not, but we know that she's been playing all right. I think that she gave a really good account of herself against Kvitova, managed to come back from a set down, proving that she isn't bottling it in this tournament, and she's fighting hard. If you don't play your best tennis, you might come a cropper against Sakkari, and that's the one thing that you have to realize in this tournament is Sakkari, she still has a chance of winning it. I still think that she does.
But not at all, mate. Listen, semi-final Sakkari, she's called it for a reason. I think she's going to come out against Sabalenka in this round and be another semi-final for her. And that's not even just to be nasty about Sakkari. I think it's because Sabalenka has really impressed me. You can see who she's beaten this tournament. She's beaten some good players. In the last round, Coco Gauff with a bagel in the second set. She's just carried on that form.
Yeah.
And you'd think with the courts being as slow as they are, that maybe it wouldn't suit someone like a Sabalenka, but I think her tennis is simply that good at the moment, that I feel the only person who's going to really stop her would be an Iga or Rybakina.
Or herself.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the thing with Saba. The only person who's been able to stop her was Barbora Krejcikova, and that is the only person this year that has beaten her, which is incredible, really, when you think about it. Krejcikova took a set off her in this tournament as well. She ran her close in Indian Wells. Could have maybe been another defeat, but that seems to be the sort of the only type of people, the real big hitters. And we saw what Krejcikova did to Iga. It's not an easy matchup for any of those big three that we just mentioned. Krejcikova can mix it. She can get to the finals. She can win those big matches. And that one could have been a final before the final, maybe, for Saba. Who knows?
Yeah, let's give our predictions on the Sakkari-Sabalenka match, and then we'll do our whole semi-final preview for Iga Rybakina afterwards. So on that one, I've already said my stance. I think Sabalenka's going to win, and I think it's going to be in straight sets. I think semi-final Sakkari is going to go out at the semi-final stage again. And I don't mean that in a harsh, dismissive way. I just think it's going to happen. Sabalenka playing very well, serving well, looks confident. She's won a Grand Slam this year. She's got that extra little bit of ability, I think, at this level. And I'm expecting her to beat Sakkari with a tight first set and a less tight second set, maybe a 6-2 second.
It's a very interesting one because I don't know if we can look into too much of the head-to-head. I'm just having a look now, and the head-to-head between the two, Sakkari's won their last two. I don't know if that means anything because we know Saba was struggling a bit with her form come the back end of last year, and that was she suffered a defeat in an exhibition. I don't think we can count that one, but she was defeated twice in World Tour finals to Sakkari. Both big matches, and she lost both of them. So this is another big match. And Sakkari looks in good form. I think this is going to go to 3 sets, this match, but I think you're right. I think Saba may have too much for Sakkari, and I'll stick with my draw preview prediction of Sakkari going out in the semis.
Okay, so let's give our prediction for the other semi-final, the one we are all excited about. Iga versus Rybakina, a repeat of the Australian Open matchup this year where Rybakina beat Iga. This is just so exciting. We are going to be covering it on Game to Love, just like the other semi-final as well. And I just feel like this one is going to be a little bit more one-sided than the previous meeting. The reason being, this surface suits Iga so much. It plays a little bit like a Roland Garros where she's so dominant. That's why Rafa does so well usually at Indian Wells. Iga, I feel like, is the female equivalent at this stage. And let's not say equivalent because Rafa's in his own league completely, but she's trying to emulate him in some form. And I believe that Iga is going to just do some more magic. Rybakina could do a lot more against Iga on, say, an Australian Open court or, say, a grass court, but not in these conditions. And I fancy Iga to win this match. The reason being as well is they did play an exhibition, which I'm not going to read too much into, which Rybakina won, but they played it in Ostrava, which was in 2021, and Iga won that in straight sets. So I think we're going to see a similar scoreline. In fact, the exact same scoreline, because I think it's going to be a tiebreak in the first and a 6-2 second.
Yeah, I mean, that was indoor hard court, that one. Different surfaces, both of them. All they do is play on hard court, it seems, these two. We've had the quick surfaces of Australia. We've had probably quick surface there indoors as well in Ostrava. And now we're having a slower, more humid conditions there in Indian Wells, which it does suit Iga's game so much. And Rybakina's serve may be nullified a little bit, I feel, with the humidity. She served 6 double faults in her match against Mukova in the match just gone. It took 3 hours on court as well, which that's got to take something out of you. Up until then, she looked pretty much bulletproof. She just dispatched Kenin in straight sets, Badoza straight sets, Glacheva straight sets. And I think it maybe just credit to Mukova. I think she just had a really good tournament and it's back to a bit of form. In my draw preview, I went with Rybakina to knock out Iga. The way that the tournament's sort of changing, I think I'm changing my mind.
Ooh,
I feel like
the
I think it will be 3 though as well. I feel that Rybakina will get in her head a little bit. I feel like the defeat to her will mean she loses the first set, Iga, and then she'll come back and she'll tight second, steamroller in the third.
Okay, well, let's bring up some Iga stats to end it because she has been in great form recently. And I think it's quite fascinating to see this one against players outside the top 50. She's 44-0 since Madrid 2021 and 55-1 since Roland Garros. And this was more off the back of her beating Solana Sastea. She just demolishes them players. Doesn't do too bad against the top 10 either because she beats pretty much everyone. And I think on the season, Ben, you had the stats there for both of them. It's very tight and very close. I think Iga's was 15-3. And
is that on the other one? Oh
I'm
no,
not sure.
Before when I for
yeah, you did have it a second ago.
14-4, I believe, Rybakina, and Iga was 15-3.
Okay. So yeah, not much in it at all.
Yeah.
Like two top players.
Very, very close. And you'll be interested to hear that the odds for this one, when they last played in Australia, it was Rybakina at 4.3 and Iga at 1.2. This one, more of the same. Rybakina 3.9, Iga 1.26. Yep. So slightly more in favor of Rybakina, but only just, not at all. So that everyone expecting a clean sweep for Iga in this one. I'm interested. I still think it's an interesting matchup, despite how well Iga's playing, but it's going to be tough for Rybakina, this matchup. I feel she's the type of player her head could go down at some point in this when it's easy to get deflated playing Iga, and I feel that it's going to happen in that third set.
Yep, exactly that. So let's move on to the men's. And on the men's, we have one semi-final confirmed. That is Medvedev TFO. I called it on my bracket exactly that. I had Medvedev TFO and I have Medvedev winning on the bracket. I'll let you know what I picked now. It might change. And we also have 2 quarterfinals happening. So one playing right now, Fritz Sinner, which has gone to a third set. And Alcaraz Felix will be on after that. I think it's just amazing matches, really, all of this. I think the whole Indian Wells across the men's and the women's is special this year because we have all of the top players still left in there. I know we didn't get Djokovic. I know we didn't get Nadal, which is, of course, disappointing. But based off what we've got, I think this is the best potential draw we could have had. Fritz won it last year, looking good. Sinner, we know he could, if he plays Alcaraz, he's going to come very close. Probably can beat Alcaraz if anyone can. Alcaraz Felix, that is just a great matchup as well. Doesn't Felix have a favourable head-to-head? I think someone was saying earlier.
Against who? Alcaraz?
Yeah, he's never lost. Felix has played Alcaraz 3 times, beaten him 3 times.
Madness,
so
that.
It is just a really exciting tournament, the way it's sort of shaping up. Like you wouldn't really believe that if I didn't tell you right now.
No.
No. So let's just talk about these. It's difficult to talk about the semi-finals for the men's because we don't know what they're all confirmed. But what I'm going to do is just quickly give a prediction, and that is I think Sinner's going to come through in this third set, and Alcaraz is going to finally beat Felix. So I'm thinking we're going to get a Sinner-Alcaraz semi-final.
Hope so. Oh, another US Open, please. That's what everybody would love. Back in America, back with those two playing each other. That will be a cracker. I mean, if it's anything like any of Alcaraz's matches last year at Indian Wells, they were epic. I think everyone would agree with that. The one against Rafa especially, but obviously came up a crop of the wind, all of that type of stuff, and Fritz, the eventual winner. Fritz still in this tournament as well. He's the reigning champ. He's got the crowd on his side as well. He's got his girlfriend there as always. She's in the stands, getting more camera time than him as always. But 2 Americans as well still in it, which should be noted. TFO, good call from you.
Yeah, I'm not that surprised. He's been playing very well. I was going to bring up some of the players he's beat. I don't know if you've got it.
Yeah, I've got it here. I've just got who they've both been playing. So here we go. We can go through their
Yeah, so that's the
route.
one what I really like the look of, and that's Cam Norrie. Beating him in straight sets, everyone was surprised. I think Medvedev spoke about it in his press conference, saying how TFO beating Norrie in straight sets, I know I'm going to be in for a match. And TFO is one of them players. This is what Medvedev said. If everything comes together, we know he can beat the top players. He's shown it. He's beaten the Dow. He can beat Djokovic. This is what Medvedev said. So he is not taking this match lightly. This semi-final is going to be tough. TFO was one of the standout players last year, and I was anticipating him to find a bit more form again because I don't think he really lost the form. Maybe just not played as many matches as we'd have liked, but he's not lost many, and I think he's just been very good when he's played. Okay, you can maybe say some of them at Dallas was a bit disappointing, Australian Open, a tad, but Hachanov, he can do that to players. I just want to be very optimistic about his performances of late. And I think he's going to give Medvedev a really good run for his money because Medvedev, let's talk about him, does not like the courts. We've seen all the antics. We saw them against Zverev. We saw him against Ivashka as well. A few against Fokina. He hates the court. He complains about them being slow. But one thing I want to say, I respect him so much because he's not someone who just moans and downs tools. He moans and then fights for the next point. So listen, he doesn't like the surface. It doesn't suit his game. He's not asking to change it. He went in the press conference and was saying, I'm not asking to change it because players like Cam Norrie are absolutely loving it. They wouldn't want to change it. If he said if there's 80 players out of the top 90 who want to change it, then I think they should do something about it. But if it's not like that, you shouldn't just change it just to suit me. But he's which is fair enough. And obviously it doesn't suit his game, but still, he still managed to get through to this stage. And I thought some of his matches have been really entertaining. And he's fighting right to the end. He's not giving up on points. He's not down in tools. He's treating the tournament with respect. He's playing well. And I like the charisma we get from Daniil Medvedev. Some people say he whinges too much. He's always moaning. He's making a fuss. It's not a good look for the sport. I would disagree. I find it interesting. I like him as a character. And I think we need more characters like Daniil Medvedev in tennis because he makes it more exciting. And listen, his tennis is one of the best in the world as well.
Most definitely. I mean, he brings something different to the tennis court that not a lot of the other players do bring. He brings a bit of controversy. He also brings a really different playing style that nobody else brings as well. And he brings the threat of beating Novak Djokovic, which not many other people on the tour can say they bring that threat because most people wilt under the pressure of just seeing him down the other end. And if you look at his form, I think it's good for him to play on surfaces like this because we know that he moans about playing on the clay. We know he moans about playing on the slow courts. But the more we see him get deeper in these tournaments, he's becoming a more rounded player. I love it. We get to see him play like this at Roland Garros and he's like, moaning, I'm in the semi-final. Brilliant. Do it, Daniel. Let's see you on the clay, moaning your way to the final at Roland Garros. I would love to see that because I've said it before. He's always improving on all surfaces. And I think that we will see Daniil Medvedev deep in a Roland Garros tournament in the next few years. I think if he keeps
this year,
it could happen.
He's going to knock out Rafa, Ben.
All right, let's steady on. But I think he's got all the ability to do anything he wants on the tennis court, and he's always learning. And I think just suck it up, keep playing your tennis on these slower courts, and it'll come. He loves a long rally, so I don't know why he's moaning about. He's the one who embraces long rallies on every other surface. So surely this is his bread and butter. Just harness your inner whatever.
Like we've got King of Jossa Medvedev wins Roland Garros.
I didn't say win. Well,
is that what Ben said? Know. Let's quote him. I'm going to cut it and put it as a short.
We need one of those Vance quotes.
All right, let's give our prediction for this one because we don't know what the other semi-final is going to be. I've already gone on a whim and said Sinner Alcaraz. What do you think that other semi-final is going to be?
I am so torn on that. I know that you said we've been so confident with Sinner, and I feel like because I put Fritz out early in this one to Shelton, I went big, and it was a close match. It was 3 sets. There's something about Fritz there, and he's the reigning champ, and he's managed to come back from a set down now. He's sort of swaying me, and I feel like Fritz might get it done somehow by hook or by crook. I think he's going to get it
You're
done.
going to go for...
I'm thinking I'm going to have Fritz winning in this third set against... And then... Yeah, I think I'm going to go Alcaraz, and then we're going to have Alcaraz Fritz.
Okay. That's not a bad match. Interesting. So let's give your prediction for this semi-final. So Medvedev TFO. I believe Medvedev is demolishing the head-to-head. And the reason I'm saying that is because I heard Medvedev actually say that. He spoke about it, but he said they're still not going to write him off.
He beat him on clay in 2015. That's his only win against Medvedev. But he doesn't normally even get many sets.
I wouldn't read too much into it. It's been a while and it's a different TFO. So the head-to-head doesn't mean much. However, I am going to be going for Daniel Medvedev to win this match in 3 sets. I think TFO can take a set. He's confident as well. A quote of TFO said, when he plays his best tennis, he feels like he's the best player in the world. He said that.
He's not dropped a set this tournament.
He thinks if he plays his best tennis, everyone would struggle against him.
He hasn't had, but neither have really. Like if you look at their routes, Nakashima, Ivashka, Zverev's
not easy, mate.
That's what I mean. Over 3 hours.
And Fokina's playing really well at the moment.
Fokina, and then Norrie really difficult. I think
tough.
Tabio wasn't actually as easy as people probably think.
It is for TFO's level.
Kubler and Giron, expect him to beat both of those, but yeah, it's going to be super tough. I don't really want to jump on your bandwagon of 3 as well.
Medi in 3, that's mine.
It sounds good. I quite like it because he has been dropping, but I'm going to go Medi in 2. I think that TFO just bottles it a bit, and that's the only way that this happens. He goes too big, tries to hit too hard, and then just beats himself. Medi lets him beat himself in this one. 7-5, 7-5. There you go.
Okay. Before we wrap this up, Ben, there is one question, and I'm going to answer it as well. Out of what you've seen from Alcaraz and what you've seen from Medvedev, who's favourite for the Indian Wells this year? And who would you be backing to win it from what you've seen? Because I think we'd agree they're the 2 stand-up players. They were before the draw started. That was my final. I think a lot of people fancied it as well. They are the ones who have that real star wow power, wow factor. You can make a case for Fritz and Sinner, definitely. But it just feels like them 2 are the 2 giants left in this Indian Wells. They're the ones who can trouble the likes of Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic. I know people are going to get in the comments and say, "Oh, is TFO beat him?" Like, they are the 2 big powerhouses. Who do you fancy out of them 2?
Call me crazy, but I fancy Carlos Alcaraz for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's just that.
You reckon Alcaraz beats him?
There's something in my mind that if he was to get to that final, he would have just defeated Felix, who's somebody who he's never beaten before, and then he'd be in such a confident mode. I feel that he likes
the surface.
That's what I mean. His frenetic pace, his desire, that type of thing. I feel it's just this type of tournament for him. I feel that Alcaraz
might edge him. Yeah,
I would love to see it.
I honestly think that is the final I really like. What most people want to see. It is one which I'm going to tune into and not know what's going to happen. If we are to get Alcaraz Medvedev, for me, that is the pinnacle of the men's game right now.
Definitely. And they've only played once before as well. And that was
of course, Djokovic, Nadal, that's its own sport in itself. But right now, with who we're left with in this tournament, that was the one we all wanted to see. And I hope we get it.
Yeah, they've only played at Wimbledon before, so we don't really know, and that was in 2021.
Yeah,
so we don't really know what would happen on these hard courts either. So that was a very fresh Alcaraz on the grass. So, I'm excited. I hope that we get to see that matchup. But best of luck for the quarter.
I think regardless, we have some massive matchups coming up on Game to Love. So please join us. We're going to be covering Alcaraz Felix as soon as the Fritz match ends. So please join us for that. And of course, we'll be covering all the other semi-finals as well on Game to Love. Let's wrap this one up here. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Let us know Who do you agree with in the comment section? What are your predictions for these matches? And of course, if you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you for the matches. Anything to say, Ben?
No, don't go anywhere.
Cheers. Don't go anywhere.